Hey, how y'all doing today? It's Josh the Analyst, and today we're gonna analyze should you join the military? It's really rough out here economically, and I know a lot of people don't got nothing going on. A lot of people do, but I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to people that are stuck in the same cycle, don't have nothing going on. We're gonna analyze if it's something that you should consider or not. So let's get right into it. Should you join the military? In 2025, military recruitment, specifically speaking of the Army, is at a 15-year high. And with the Israel-Iran conflict going on, it could be the perfect storm. So a little bit of background, so you know I'm just not somebody on the internet that's talking. I actually have experience. I joined the Air Force during the Iraq War time period, the mid-2000s. Everybody told me not to go because they thought I was stupid. My mom was crying and everything because there was a war going on. And it might be about to be the same type of situation. So you might get the same backlash or have the same concerns. I deployed outside the wire, saw combat. I learned what it means to serve during wartime. Most people don't. It's very job dependent. That's something that you need to keep in mind as well. Now, in 2025, military recruitment is hitting numbers that haven't been seen in like 15 years. But we're also watching Israel and Iran exchange missile airstrikes. Today is June 19th, 2025, and they're at it right now. And we need to break down, is this actually a good time to join? We don't know if the U.S. is going to jump in or not. And if it's something you're considering, it's something you need to be aware of. So let's break it down honestly. So the current reality check is who should consider the military service? Let's do this reality check. I think it's good to go if you have limited job opportunities in your area. You're somebody that might need structure and discipline in your life. You want to get some technical skills and leadership training. You don't think college is the spot to go get that, even though it definitely is. But the direct college path isn't necessarily feasible for everybody. If you're looking for guaranteed income and benefits, or if you're willing to serve and be a part of something bigger than yourself, it's something you should definitely consider. Now, who should not consider it if you're somebody that can't handle taking orders or authority? Some people just naturally have a problem with authority, and that's fine. Everybody's built differently. If you have serious mental health issues, depression, anxiety, addiction, you've been on some type of disability for an extended amount of time, those type of things can disqualify you from joining the military. If you got strong civilian career opportunities already lined up right now, I'm not even talking to you. Go do your thing for sure. Good on you for having that. If you have family situations that can't handle deployments or being away for an extended amount of time, if you are joining to escape your personal problems, I wouldn't consider it if I was you. If you're unable to handle high stress environments, I wouldn't necessarily look into the military. If you have strong moral objections to military service, I wouldn't necessarily consider the military. It's probably not going to be for you. Or if you expect the military to fix any fundamental life issues you might have, you probably shouldn't consider it. Only 23% of Americans from age 17 to 24, and probably even more, are actually qualified. And this is because obesity, criminal background. A lot of Americans are just out of shape as far as education. No Child Left Behind really messed up a lot of people. Public schools are horrible. So a lot of people can't even qualify via the entrance exam because you have to take a test to get in. It's called the ASVAB. And a lot of people can't even score high enough on that to meet just the bare minimum standards to get accepted. So you really got to be honest with yourself, because the military is going to amplify your strengths and weaknesses. And what I mean by that is it's going to bring out a lot of things that you might not even know you had in you, or you might know that you do have it in you, but the military is going to amplify that. So for instance, your natural leadership ability, if you have that, it's going to become exceptional under pressure once you go through the military. If you've got good work ethic, you're going to become an elite level performer during the military service and afterwards. If you got a team player mentality, like you play sports, you're going to become unbreakable when it comes to unit cohesion. It's going to amplify that for sure. If you have any type of problem solving skills, you're going to become an expert in crisis management during your military tenure and forevermore. If you have strong resilience, you're going to be able to perform under extreme stress in the military. If you got discipline, if you got just a fraction of discipline, it's going to become precision and reliability in life or death situations. But a lot of weaknesses get amplified as well. For instance, anger issues can become serious disciplinary problems or violence. Substance abuse tendencies usually escalate under military stress. Authority problems, if you're somebody who don't like authority, you're going to be constantly conflicted with your chain of command and your peers around you. NCOs and officers, you're always going to be butting heads, and you're really not going to like it. you probably just shouldn't even bother if that's your personality. If you got some type of depression or anxiety that's been ongoing, it's probably going to worsen dramatically under deployment stress, but just military stress in general. Some people break down at boot camp and just want to go home. Some people just can't handle it. If you think you're that type of person, you probably shouldn't even consider the military. And if you got relationship problems, deployments and separation in general, the length of times the military has you separated for can destroy your relationship. But irresponsibility, if you're just an irresponsible person, it can become dangerous when others depend on your safety. You probably shouldn't consider the military. Some of these weaknesses can be weeded out through military training. Not all of them, but a good amount of them can. If this is in you, a small amount can get weeded out through military training. It's just something you seriously consider because a lot of these things can become exacerbated in the military. Let's talk about money because that's what a lot of people want to talk about when it comes to military, especially people that don't got nothing going on right now. You got to understand that military pay, it's not just salary, it's a complete financial package. You get BAS and BAH, which are tax-free money. A lot of the junior enlisted folks easily save over $1,000 or more just because your expenses are covered. Most don't, but you can. The potential is there right off the jump. Even low military pay beats most civilian jobs when you factor in all the benefits. Smart troops can save serious money for civilian transition or investment. Let's look at some examples. I started with E3 because most people don't stay E1 or E2 for too long. E3 is pretty much given to you depending on the contract you sign and time. E3 comes up pretty quick. Yeah, so it's just a E3 living on base, you're going to be making about $28,800 a year. And yeah, that's your taxable income. But you don't got to pay for food. You can eat all your meals, dining facility, whatever you want to call it, valued at about $3,700 a year. Your housing is free. You're going to be living in the dorms or the barracks. And your health care is going to be free. And that's worth up to about $15,000 just if you compare typical civilian healthcare coverage and what that costs. So that total comp, because when you look at salary, most people just talk about the base, but you got to talk about the total comp for an E3 just getting in. You're going to be looking at about $47,500 a year. If you live off base, you'll be getting BAH and BAS. So that BAH is your basic allowance for housing. Since they're not paying you to live on base, they pay you to live off base. In my area, Las Vegas, is different depending on your area and your rank. But annually, if you live in the Las Vegas area, that's about extra $19,000 a year, tax-free. You don't have to use all of that. You can get roommates. There's so many different strategies to bank and pocket that BAH. And BAS, since you're not living on base, eating at the dining facility, that's another tax-free stipend for food, about $3,700 a year. And again, your health care, that's going to be about a value of $15,000 a year. So your total comp, just an E3 living off base, you're going to be making about $65,700 a year. There ain't too many jobs that somebody with no skills at all, barely a high school diploma, can come in and make between $47,060 to $65,000 a year. There's just not a lot of opportunities out there for that low-skilled person to do that. And then you got the money stacking opportunities. You're not going to have rent or mortgage if you're living on base. And technically, you won't have it if you're using all your BAH to cover it because it's tax-free money. You don't have grocery bills if you're living on base, or you get the tax-free BAS food stipend. And you don't have healthcare costs. You get 30 days paid vacation plus federal holidays, depending on your job and where you're at. You might not always get to take off on holidays, but that just is what it is. You get a free gym membership and free rec facilities on base, cheap base services. Now let's compare that to a real civilian comparison. So about a $15 hour job, if you don't have any skills, no college education, that's probably where you're at. You're probably in this range, making like $15 an hour, doing whatever it is you're doing. Maybe a little bit more, give or take. I'll use the area, Las Vegas. So about $15 an hour. Annually, that's about $31,000. After taxes, you bring in about $26,000. Now, your rent, say $1,500 a month, probably paying about $18,000 a year. You probably living with your parents. You probably living with roommates. So give or take, that's probably not extremely accurate, but it's close. You can substitute the rent for the food, however you want to do it. Your health insurance, you got to pay for that. All in all, you're probably going to be broke living off $15 an hour. You're probably going to be negative in the whole $2,800, $3,000 a month. That's why people are so much in debt with credit cards, because they're extending their income through credit because they kind of have to. If this is you, this could also be you. So it's just a consideration. But yeah, smart troops can save serious amounts of money for civilian transition or investments because the money making opportunities are there, especially when you eliminate some of your major bills like rent and food and all that. And then you got a lot of good skill development opportunities in the military. And there's a lot of high value career fields that transition very well into the civilian world. They will train you on how to do these jobs, getting the certification for these jobs, the civilian equivalent certifications. You'll probably have to do that on your own, but you'll have the skills and the time requirement to sit for those exams based off your military training for the most part. Some of the high value career fields that you can look into, of course, cybersecurity, which is an instant 6-figure civilian job potentially. If you get your Security Plus certification and all of that while you're in the military, you can slide right into a government contractor job or working for the federal government itself, making way more than you were making in the military. The aviation pilots and mechanics, they make really good money on the outside. And again, the military is training you on how to do all this. They might not be getting you your civilian equivalent certifications, but you can go get those yourself before you even get out. And then there's medical, so many different avenues in medical, dental assistant, hygienist, nursing, all this different type of stuff. And then working intelligence, security clearance is pretty much guaranteed job security for the rest of your life if you can maintain it and keep it. And engineering, so much infrastructure, civil engineering, HVAC, plumbing, communications, tech, so many opportunities outside the military for these type of jobs. And you can go to the military, get paid to learn, have a good career, travel a little bit maybe, and then slide right on out to civilian world doing the same thing, making way more money for the same thing you was just doing in the military. Happens all the time. And then logistics, supply chain management skills. With AI increasing, supply chain is becoming a lucrative career field. You can learn systems engineering and things like that in the military and slide right out into the civilian world. You can be making easily 6 figures managing supply chains and things like that on the logistics end. There are a lot of jobs in the military that are a little bit more challenging to transition to in the civilian world. They're still vital to the military mission, but they require extra planning when you're thinking about getting out. Some of these are like infantry, combat-related jobs that just don't directly transfer. Armory, artillery, you're dealing with very equipment-specific things that you don't have a lot of places outside of the military to, so it can be very limiting getting out. Military police is different from civilian law, but it does transition pretty well. But the reason I put it here is in a challenging career field is because most people that are military police didn't really want to be military police. They kind of just ended up in that job because it was low ASVAB scores or failed out of something else or whatever the reason is. So they don't typically tend to become police on the civilian side once they get out because they didn't really want to even do it, in the military. So that's why I put it there. And then food service, it's just limited advancement potential. And like, what are you going to do on the outside unless you really like culinary and you want to do that? Again, that's another one of those jobs that a lot of people didn't necessarily choose. And then motor transport. This is what I was in the military. Marines call it motor T. Army calls it 88 Mike. I was Air Force, so it was 2T1 vehicle operations. I think they call it something else now, ground transportation or something like that. It's basic driving and some specialized logistics. Unless you want to be a truck driver and get your CDL before you get out, it kind of doesn't really transition on that logistics planning and supply chain management side. Another reason I put it here is because a lot of people, myself included, didn't necessarily choose that job. I'm grateful I had that job because I wanted to be a mechanic. I chose open mechanical. They told me, choose 8 jobs, you'll guarantee get one of your 8. I chose 6 aircraft mechanic jobs, electrician, and plumber. I really wanted to be electrician or aircraft mechanic. I didn't get any of those, and I'm grateful because once I got in, I realized how horrible the aircraft maintenance career field is. They all hate it. Maybe a couple of them don't, but for the most part, they all hate it. It's miserable, long hours. It's just horrible. So I'm glad I was a truck driver over a mechanic because I just wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, but at the same time, I also didn't want to get my CDL and be a truck driver when I got out. So now I work as a data analyst in tech. There's definitely opportunity to transition if you end up with a more challenging career field job in the military. but you just got to plan it out. The thing about these jobs, you do make rank a lot faster in a lot of these jobs. They do provide the fastest path to leadership position with real responsibility at a very young age. I was barely 20 and I was in charge of like 60 some people. I was in charge of billions of dollars worth of equipment, or the leading convoy missions. It was a lot of responsibility very early, faster than other career fields in the military. So make sure you look into the jobs. I'm not necessarily saying don't do these jobs. If you can wait, delay shipping out, choose a job, because everybody don't got the aptitude to do all these type of jobs. So it is what it is. But yeah, also moving on, regardless of your job, this applies to all fields. You're going to get some soft skills in the military that are going to be beneficial for you for the rest of your life. Things like leadership under pressure, decision making in crisis, team coordination, the problem solving mindset. It's a lot of, okay, let's get it done. Communication across cultures. You're going to be dealing with a lot of people from various backgrounds, not even just deployment, just in general. You'll probably see people that you would have never saw in your life if you didn't join the military. People from places in America that you never even heard of, just small towns, areas. You get exposed to a lot of different people, which is a great thing. And then your work ethic and discipline. This is second to none in the military, and you'll see it firsthand if you join how much more disciplined and your work ethic is stronger than the civilians that you're around. It's like night and day difference, and you'll be able to eat them alive as far as just outperforming them. Every military job teaches you valuable skills, but some translate more directly into civilian world. Things like infantry and combat arms, they're the backbone of the military, for sure. But you got to be very thoughtful in your transitioning planning when you're coming out of these roles. Even some of these challenging transitioning career fields offer leadership opportunities that are unavailable anywhere else. You got your military education benefits that'll let you change career paths. That's what I did, basically. The discipline and work ethic transfers to any civilian career field, for sure. But don't just pick a job solely on the civilian value. You want to consider your interests and your aptitudes, because you might pick a job that you think you can do, but you might not have the aptitude to do it, and you end up in one of these jobs anyway. When they reclass you, they don't necessarily let you choose what you reclass into. If you failed out of something, they kind of just put you for the needs of whatever branch. So be careful with that. If you choose a job, make sure you will be able to pass the school. The military is the career, and your job in the military is just a job. The job is a job. Even if you have a job that you really do not like, don't let that make you hate the military, because you can change jobs. There'll come a point where you should be eligible to change jobs. Now, nothing is guaranteed, but in most cases, especially branch dependent, you will be able to switch jobs, or if not switch career fields, you'll be able to go on some type of special duty assignment, like be an instructor or a drill sergeant or whatever other special duties are available. But there's plenty of opportunity for you to get out of your job and do something else within the military, because the military is the career. Remember that. Now let's talk about some of the hard truths, some of the risks. So let's do a geopolitical reality check. There's an active conflict going on between Israel and Iran. There are ongoing missile exchanges right now. It's today, June 19th, 2025. They are shooting missiles at each other, and there is a lot of uncertainty on whether the U.S. will jump in. Trump said he may or may not join Israel strikes. You don't know, so it's something to be on edge about. You can wait and see, but these things can take a long time to play out. They can say, oh yeah, America's not doing nothing, and then it dies down, and then you go join. And then a year later after you in, they had war again, and now this time America is jumping in. So you got to be aware of the geopolitical climate. Israel needs U.S.'s help to do deeper strikes in Iran. So it's just something to think about. And for historical context, Iraq and Afghanistan deployments lasted 20 plus years. I think it started off in 2003 and it just ended in 2021 or some recently. I don't know the exact date, but it's very recent. For context, I was deployed in Iraq all 2009, the middle of 2010 to the middle of 2011. I was around real bullets, real danger. And I was doing convoys with the Army. Trump is keeping all the military options open. So uncertainty is high. So if you join now, expect potential deployments to the Middle East. You do need to understand what wartime military means. If you've been in for the past 10 years or so, it's been pretty much peacetime for the most part. Deployments were few and far between, maybe some units in Africa or the Middle East, but that wasn't a whole forced mobilization like it was in the early 2000s, where it was just everybody was deploying. It wasn't a matter of if, but when. Keep that in mind. And then think about the personal risk. So deployment and separation from your family, physical, mental health issues, and risk related to combat zones, loss of civilian freedom and flexibility, potential for PTSD or traumatic brain injuries, and your contract commitment and stop loss. A lot of people don't know what stop loss is because it's been gone for so long. But I knew 3 people that got stop loss. And basically what that is, it means your military contract, your enlistment is up and you about to get out, but they basically mandate your contract extension, so you basically can't get out. And that was happening a lot. They can bring that back. They didn't ban it permanently. They just put it on hold because it wasn't needed, or it was controversial. They could pull that back whenever they want to. So especially if a big war with Iran pop off or China or something, like, it's just something to think about. Let's talk about the strategic timing analysis. So the pros of joining right now, the recruitment incentives, they're at peak right now. So bonuses, benefits, you can get a bag for joining right now. And maybe that's because they know something. But either way, they want you right now. So it's something that you could possibly take advantage of. Another pro is the job security during this economic uncertainty. Inflation is crazy. If you want something more certain, the military might be a good option for you. Then you got fast promotion opportunities, VA benefits, potentially locked in for life. And then you got skills training before AI automation hits a lot of different industries. You can get skilled up and come out good to go, basically. But there are also cons of joining right now. Of course, you're facing higher deployment probability than it's been in the last 5-10 years. The geopolitical tensions, they're at a decade plus high. Like, it's hot right now. Family separation is more likely, and combat exposure is a real possibility right now. So something you really got to consider. You got limited job flexibility once you sign. Like, I know I said you definitely can have possibility to change your job, but you might not be able to. So yeah, our military recruiting goals, they're ahead of schedule right now. They want you. They want your ass. Economic uncertainty makes military stability attractive. It's very attractive. And if you don't got nothing going on, it's something you should seriously consider. But you also got to consider the regional conflicts, and the Middle East could escalate rapidly. And even Trump's MAGA base, they really split on supporting Israel in a potential war. So it's just something you got to consider. But I want to give you a decision framework to consider this. So I need you to ask yourself 5 questions before you consider joining. Number 1, am I mentally prepared for potential combat deployment? 2, can my family handle 12 plus months of being separated from me? And can I handle that, of being separated from them? Do you have better civilian opportunities right now? If you do, something even slightly better, I would encourage you to explore that option. And 4, am I joining for the right reasons, or am I running from my problems? If you're running from your problems still going to be there when you join the military, and they might be exacerbated, but it's your life. You kind of got to figure that out. Can you handle taking orders and a military lifestyle? This is something that you'll probably be able to adapt to, but if you have that disdain for authority and you just don't like it, it's probably not going to be a good look for you. It's probably something you should not entertain. If you can say yes to at least 3 out of these 5, then I would choose your job carefully, research every branch's culture. Depending on what branch you joined, you're going to be programmed in a certain way that will last your entire lifetime. So you want to make sure you get that programming that you think you can handle for the rest of your life. If you go to the Army, you're going to have a soldier-like mentality for the rest of your life. You go to the Navy, you're going to have that Navy type of structure and discipline for the rest of your life. You go Air Force, you're going to have that Air Force type of life for the rest of your life. And if you go to the Marines, you're going to be a Marine for the rest of your life. A Marine is a Marine. An Army is an Army dude or chick. An Air Force person is an Air Force person. A Navy person is a Navy person. You can kind of spot the difference in each. And that's just because of the way you programmed through all the military trainings and just the culture. Make sure the culture of the branch you choose aligns with who you are as a person or who you want to be. Make sure the culture aligns with who you are, because they're all very different. And you want to understand your contract completely. You want to prepare your family and yourself for military life the best way you can. The military is just one of those things where you can watch all the YouTube videos, you can talk to as many people as possible, but you just won't get it until you did it. So take that for what it is. You're not going to really know what it's like until you actually go do it. You still want to prepare mentally and physically at least. Don't go in out of shape. The bottom line is it's really complicated. It's your life and your choice. You need to understand that the military in 2025 does offer incredible opportunities, better pay than we've seen in decades, world-class training, and benefits that set you up for life. But we also facing one of the most volatile geopolitical situations since the early 2000s, Iraq, Afghanistan area. So my final take is, if you are directionless, if you need structure and want guaranteed income while learning valuable skills, the military could definitely transform your life. The benefits are real, the opportunities are massive, and frankly, most civilian jobs cannot match what you'll get. Don't got anything going for yourself right now. But if you join now, you need to go in with your eyes wide open. There's a real chance you'll deploy to a combat zone. The Middle East is heating up. It's heating up. And when politicians start talking about military action, it's people like me and you that have to actually go do it. So my advice is, if you are seriously considering it, talk to some veterans or visit a recruiter, but don't sign immediately. Talk to some people that are currently in and doing the job that you want to do or might be interested in doing. And just make sure you and your family understand what military life really means. The military is going to always need good people, but at the current moment, it comes with exceptional opportunities and exceptional risk. It's just something you got to weigh out for yourself. I would say seriously consider it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments. Do you got any questions about the military? Is it something that you would ever consider? Hit me up, ask me some questions, leave a comment, share this to anybody that might need to hear it. I'm Josh the Analyst. I'm out.